Welcome to the Insane Reality of Midlife Health podcast, where we redefine midlife health from a real perspective. I'm a certified health coach and personal trainer, here to guide you through the challenges women face. You'll hear tips and stories from everyday women who have walked this path. Let's shift our focus from the past to embrace who we are now. All right, so thank you for coming to my show today. I've been waiting to get this lady on board for a minute, and she is here. I got the pleasure of working with Miss Leanne last year in a role that I recently had with health and wellness. So I got to work with you, got to see your ambition, your drive, your motivation, and all the things, which is why I have you here today, because it was very inspiring. So with that being said, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to just get right into it. We're going to start. So I have random questions, and I really honestly I have this here because sometimes I'll skip around depending on where our conversation's flowing. So the first thing I want to ask is, when do you go on social media?
Yes.
Okay. And you Googling all the things out here in the world that you constantly see?
Right.
When you're on those platforms and you see all the trending things, right? What are some questions that, like, throughout the years when you see health and wellness stuff, what are some things that come to mind that you're always like, what? Should I do that? Should I not? Is there anything that just confuses you about all the things you see about trending health and wellness topics on social media stuff?
Well, I guess considering my age, I mean, everything started as the funky little diet pills, and everybody wants it to work overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to have a little pain to get the gain. and how that whole industry has changed as far as, you know, it's the diet, it's the exercise. You can't pop a pill for that. You got to. And that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when I was younger, it was, you know, everybody was doing the Slim Fast and, I can't even remember the name of the pill. I never did do it, but, you know, that kind of thing. But there's now so much more options. You didn't have a coach. You didn't have guidance. You just kind of had to go, okay, let's see what's working for me. I'll try this. And then, but now we have so many more resources that make it all better.
This is why I like having you. So you kind of know when health and wellness started becoming, like, right now it's obviously very popular.
Right.
But like you said, growing up, there was still a lot of miseducation or no education,
Right.
other than let's pop a pill or do Jane Fonda, of course.
Right, yes.
But there wasn't a lot of direct information that you could get,
Right.
and about the reason of why we're on this show called The Insane Reality of Midlife Health. Like,
Right.
there's so much that we're starting to discover that makes it hard. And it's interesting now that you say that, because, you know, back then they had a quick pill, which I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of people started having heart issues and problems because of that. But now there are, and I don't want to go too deep on this, but now they have all the new thing now that would be compared to that is the Wegovy shots and the Manjaro shots that were made for diabetics.
Right.
And now everybody's trying to get their hands on it, right? So that's interesting, because I never thought of it till you brought it up, that that's a comparable from, I guess you'd say, 80s to now, right?
Right. Well, one of the things that I've always looked at as far as my family, I had one set of grandparents. My mother's parents were she was healthy before healthy was cool. It was a protein, not a starch, but a vegetable and a salad. She had a salad every night.
Mm-hmm.
And if she didn't do a salad, that's where the tomato and the cottage cheese came in. So, I mean, it was, and very little bread. She loved to bake, but it was in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
The other set of grandparents, let's get out that fried chicken and go. So the grandparents that had the more healthy lifestyle, no diabetes, no high cholesterol, no blood pressure issues. You know, but so, you know, I always said she was the healthy, cool one before eating healthy was cool,
and
you know.
Obviously, you're bringing that up however many years later, that you were a kid then.
Right.
And that never left your mind.
Right.
So that example, which is something a lot that I want to bring up on this show, is that example not only are we doing it for ourselves at this point in our life, but what example are we leaving to, whether it's nephews and nieces, cousins, brothers, sisters, obviously our children, and so forth. That is a big point that I want to always continue to keep out there for people to be motivated by. And, you know, sometimes we just need to focus on that more than ourselves to
Right.
get us going.
Right. And she was very good about exposing, like the asparagus, Brussels sprouts, things the kids don't get in school. You know, the big, you know, she would make a big fruit salad and it would just be fruit, you know. But my mother was always the kind that had the snacks at our level where we could open up the
Yes.
refrigerator and, you know, the fruit, the cheese, things that were easy. And she'd get a watermelon and go ahead and cut it. So you could just go in there and get what you wanted. And that's just accessibility. Of course, we didn't have the little packets of pre-mixed stuff. Your mama got in there with a cutting board and cut it up.
Yep.
But I did too.
That is, you're bringing up some wonderful points.
Thank you.
That is another big factor. Part of my show is obviously for midlife health with women, but there's another portion of my overall page that we're focusing on children, right? And you named one of the most important things. And obviously it worked for you. It worked for, you know, a lot of people that I know, and it will continue to, is having those options available and ready for you to bring and grab versus going in the pantry and getting those chips and all the things.
Right.
So that right there probably set your standards a lot different than a lot of peers. And you've obviously probably, do you still do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a daughter in college. You know, we've heard me talk about Elizabeth, who's majored in nutrition. And that was one of I think when she was a freshman, that they talked about, did your mama pack your lunch and what did she put in it? And every child had to go around, if your mama packed your lunch and what was in it. And Elizabeth was going, strawberries, cucumber slices, ham roll-ups. I mean, you know, we just didn't eat a lot of bread.
See?
And people wanted to people would want to trade stuff because they had what are the pre-made little, I never bought
Lunchables.
one. Yes, the Lunchable
Yes.
stuff. And she was like, no, I've got my little ham and my little cheese and my fruit. And sometimes we'd even do a tossed salad in there, have a little ranch in the little container. And, you know, so they were just, and she said that professor was just in there shaking her head going, you're round of applause for Elizabeth's mother. So I thought, well, that was sweet.
Well, you know, now you say that and putting two together, I mean, what a blessing, but also just how wonderful it must feel to you that your daughter is taking on the role of wanting to be a nutritionist.
Right.
More than likely, she would have not wanted to do that if it wasn't for the role you played in her life.
Well, my family ate healthy. I mean, we grilled all the time. I mean, and growing up when my kids were little, I couldn't tell you how many grills we've worn out because it's just so easy to grill protein and vegetables. And it's just an easy thing to do. Yeah. So it's what they're exposed to.
Yes.
So, I mean, it just makes all the difference. So if they've not been exposed to certain things, they're not going to like it. You know.
That's a point that I'm hoping to have some kids on some future interviews, because the goal I will have with what we're talking about is a lot of parents, you know, well, how did you get, same thing with my son. He's everybody makes fun of the fact that I pack edamame and cucumbers and all the things. They give me a hard time. My family loves laughing at me for this, that my kid's eating edamame and cantaloupe while somebody's eating Takis. But they say, well, how did you get him to eat that though? And I said, well, I've been giving it to him since he was a kid. I let him cut. I let him pick it from the garden I have out here. And like you said, the exposure and constant, just that being a part of every meal, he doesn't think twice about eating an avocado, by itself because he loves it. And so I didn't know this topic was going to go here, but I might have to have you come back on when we do the parent-kid topics. Okay. But that is a great outlook of where I want people to understand. And you've been a great example to that, obviously. So you got a daughter going in nutrition, and I think that's awesome. So
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So next fun question. Do you, as a woman, accept the age you are, or are you always comparing yourself to that younger age you used to be?
Well, as a breast cancer survivor, I'm blessed to be here.
Okay.
You know, my journey has been, I've been blessed. I was only stage 1. And so you know, my journey has been much easier than a lot of people's who are in stage 4.
Yeah.
And so I'm very blessed. But my age has never bothered me. Uh, the hardest thing for me is I get tired a little more. And in my heart, I'm 16, and I can work all day and come home and do all this stuff that women do because we have the day job and the night job. And I still am very active. I mean, I'm in several, breast club groups, and I volunteer a lot. But that's the hardest thing for me. I mean, I don't mind getting older because, like I said, I'm blessed.
Just your body reminding you.
But in my heart, I'm 16, and okay, I only need 5 hours of sleep, and I'm ready to go. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. So.
Well,
But everybody takes that different. My mother is a little more vain, and we went to her reunion a couple of months ago, and she didn't want to take her cane, and I was like, "Yes, Mama, you need your cane. You've fallen. We've replaced both hips. Yes, you do."
yeah.
And
So to each his own on that one.
yes, it is.
Oh, and I think I haven't got to ask a lot of people this question. You might be the first person I asked, I think. But I think I want to start asking women that more. And why do we run from that so much? We are what we are. Obviously, people know we're not 30. And if we try to look like it with all the Botox and all
Right. Oh, yeah.
we look just as crazy most of the time.
Right.
But I think you made it a good point in saying, okay, you were faced with a traumatic event, I guess you can say, that you had cancer diagnosis, and maybe we shouldn't have to get to that point for us to appreciate our life and who we are and where we are, but it definitely was a wake-up call for you to look at life differently and appreciate everything about where you are right now.
Well, I think so much of that is society. It's all out there that you're skin and bones, and and your face is tight and all that good stuff. But it's like a scar here or there. That's your journey, and that's how you've lived. And be blessed to be here.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to tell that to a 16-year-old girl who goes, I'm getting old, But
well,
it's
going back to
difficult.
social media, it does make it harder for us to accept because we're constantly being compared to unrealistic views. And then another thing is that we find it. I don't know. I don't know who originally made it not to be proud that, hey, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, and look at me, and look how I look what I'm doing, look what I've been through. Like you said, look, I have a journey, I have a story to tell. Right. I think the only time that we should ever, and I shouldn't say ashamed, but we should be proud of where we are in our life, but we also need to start realizing that in order to have that confidence and being proud is to know that you're still able to walk, you're still able to go and do things and enjoy life. And if you have some beautiful womanly curves, that so be it. Let that be. You are a woman. As long as your biometric numbers are healthy and you're not going into high blood sugars and all the things, then you should be proud of where you are. And I have to tell a story to the people listening right now about you. Is I think when I first kind of connected with you, I was doing a psychedelic cycle spin class to encourage coworkers to get involved, to pay attention to their health and just have fun together. Well, here I am setting up about the first or second person that walks in the door is you, ready to go. And that was it definitely was a good show of people. I was really excited about it.
It was fun.
But this is the thing. Here you are, if it's okay, the most mature one in the group. And all these other women who, like you said, half of your coworkers were like, you're crazy. I'm not going to that.
Oh, they told me that all day long. I can't believe you're doing this. We can't wait to see you in the morning.
Yes. So not only did your peers around you, and I hate to say it, but whether they meant to or not, it was discouraging.
Right.
Like
peer pressure.
Yeah. And a lot of people fall into that, like, oh, don't do that. It's going to be too hard.
Right.
But there you were, first one, ready to go with a good attitude, stayed on that bike the whole time, no matter how bad those buns were hurting. And you inspired so many people more than you know. Even in that class alone, your attitude and you being there was awesome. And the fact that you could go back and brag about it
was so
and
fun.
walk
I
the
loved
next day. It might have had an extra twinge in the walk, but you was walking.
Well, the seat, that's what hurt.
Seats hurt.
It wasn't my legs because
Tush.
one of the coworkers that was with me, she just eventually got off and just held the bike.
Yeah.
And I just kept on going, but I stood up and that way my bottom didn't hurt.
But
that was good for the legs.
And see, and
Yes.
that's why I said, that's those moments where you said, I am however many years old. I haven't told anybody years old on this, but I'm happy to tell that if you're happy, tell
I
it.
don't mind a bit.
How old are you?
64.
So that's when you jump up and you say, I am 64 years old, and look at these 20, 30, because it was 20 and 30-year-olds that were getting off that bike and standing because they couldn't last. And you was like, no, I'm going to go.
Well, you remember all those steps as you go up to the Judicial Center?
Yes.
They were all mowed over.
Oh.
And I was like, I had a ball. And they were like, how did you do that? But I'm active.
Yes.
I mean, I kayak, I hike,
Well, that leads to my next question.
I do all kinds of stuff. I mean, I went kayaking in a cave about 3 weeks ago in Kentucky.
You're
And
braver than me.
and they told me I was nuts for that too, but it was fun. The only thing is, it was smooth, and I prefer those little rough rapids. But you do what you got to do.
That leads me to probably one of the might be final questions. We'll see where this goes. You want quick, easy ways to prep healthier breakfasts and lunches? Developing healthy habits from 25 to 35 can set you up for a lifetime of wellness and vitality. Join my live nutritional workshop where we'll tackle meal prep together and ensure you're meeting your macronutrient goals for optimal results. You'll receive a grocery list for these meals, so no more procrastinating, ladies. We're going to be productive as a community. Now let's lay the foundation for a balanced, fulfilling life together. I want to know, if you look at your 20s, your 30s, and where you were then, and to now, one is, where do you think what motivated you to continuously move, to stay active, to do these things you're doing now? What motivated you to do that? Other than, I noticed you said you wanted to live life fuller. Do you think that was the key?
Well, I love life. I mean, I've loved everything, even though that little bump of breast cancer, you just pick yourself up and do what you got to do. But my dad was very active. Not so much, I mean, he loved to water ski. Now, that's not something I have done. I did it in utero before my mother knew she was pregnant with me. But that's my only water ski. But I mean, he was very active with water. And in high school, I was a lifeguard. So I've never been a runner. I know you love running, but I mean, I can walk to Chattanooga and back. I mean, I enjoy being outdoor stuff.
So,
that kind of thing is a whole lot more fun for me, the outdoor stuff. So I'd rather walk in this neighborhood than be on a treadmill. And I know you can monitor it better, but I love I don't want anything in my ear.
It's better to be out here than on the treadmill, I'll just tell you that.
I don't want any buds in my ears. I want to hear the birds, like that siren. I just want to enjoy the outdoors because I'm in that beautiful building all day long, but you don't hear any of this. So
you'd say your motivation that's kept you going your whole life is, one, you were taught it. You said your dad was very active, and he had y'all active.
Right.
And two is you enjoy life. You enjoy to come out and enjoy nature, and those are the things, and you don't want to ever lose that ability.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, because that is a big one and a hard one for a lot of customers, is they can't find that motivation. They can't find that motivation that becomes fun and enjoyable versus I have to go exercise. I have to. Have you ever felt like you had to do that?
Well, I mean, yes, because I mean, when you're at that point, you go, oh, I've had children, I need to slim down a little bit, that kind of thing. And then you have to push yourself because there's always something else to do.
Yeah.
Because even though you've worked all day, there's still meals to cook, clothes to wash, as you know. And you've got more children than I do. I mean, I have one that's grown and already married, but, and Elizabeth can take care of herself. But I'm just saying, when your children are younger, you feel, oh, I need to do this. I need to pick up the toys. I need to do that instead of going walk. Yeah. But you got to take care of you before you can take care of somebody else.
That is why I tell all my mamas out there, I said, as moms, we're always going to put our family, our kids first. And I said, you got to just change that a little bit in your head to where the truth is really where the truth to that really is, I cannot take care of my children or my husband or my home if my health is getting, my mental health, my physical health, if it's going down, everybody's going down with mama, you know? And it's so hard for us to understand health here, family comes right around with that or right below that, but that has to be here. And we think we can push through, but that's when our mental health starts going down and our physical health. And sadly, some of our children have to be the consequence of what happens, like how we start treating them or what they're seeing us do, and they're seeing us starting to go in bad health. So that definitely should be our motivation, but we have to kind of rewire our brain to say, okay, this is, you know, I cannot keep pushing without putting this first, this health first. And if you could tell, well, in your case, you're pretty awesome at this. So I was going to say, if you could have known something in your 30s that you didn't know, you know, then that you could tell yourself, what would it be? Like, and I think you've made it a lot of clear here is to enjoy life.
To enjoy, but get out. I mean, pick something that's healthy for you to do, like the walking, or pick something that you really like. I mean, there's bicycles and, you know, there's something just to get yourself going. But I think the whole thing is, unfortunately, people will retire, which I'm not close to that yet. But they just sit down and they just lose all
mobility, mental, physical.
You gotta. It's like sometimes, you know, when you've slept wrong. Well, once you get going, you don't need it. I don't need a Tylenol. I just need to move. And sometimes just getting out and doing that. But sometimes you have to talk yourself through that. But it's like this morning. It was so nice walking in to work. I was like, oh, I wish I was home walking. Because the weather is getting so much more nicer. Because I have to make myself when it's hot. I just don't do very good with it. You know?
Well, and that's why something I like to train people with is learning to change their hobbies with the seasons, their active hobbies with the seasons. So one, you won't get burnt out. So your muscles in that area can get a break. So when it's hot, it might not be walking, but there might be other things that are appropriate for that season. And that's the best thing we could do for our mind and our body, right?
Right.
But the best advice, I think you've given us some great advice today is, you know, what could you tell a woman in her 30s and her 40s? What could you tell her to stay motivated? Because life will hit you either way. Like you said, I still wake up, my body reminds me I'm getting older. But the key is don't stop moving and finding things you enjoy. It's not a forced, I have to go to the gym. Go kayaking, go to water adventures. I mean, that is kayaking. Go, hiking. Go explore life, explore health. And if it turns into exercise in between that, like, a regiment, awesome. But if nothing else, you don't stop moving, your mind doesn't stop moving.
Exactly.
And if you do stop, both of those things start going down.
The biggest thing too that looking back that I didn't do, because when we moved here, I don't have any family here. My family's in East Tennessee, and my husband's family was in West Tennessee. So we didn't have any. So we were responsible for pretty much everything. It wasn't like you get caught at the office and call a grandparent to come help you. But one of the things that I would suggest that I didn't do so much when my kids were is take that little girl trip. Just because if you get away from that for a little while, it rejuvenates you. And I'm not talking about a drunken brawl in downtown Nashville. And I guess that kind of hit me because my breast cancer groups, like we go to Fall Creek Falls every November. Sometimes we don't even get out of the cabin until Saturday. We go in and cook and play cards and just catch up on each other. And then Saturday we go hike to the falls. But it's just that rejuvenation time to just have a little time, adult conversation when you've been being the mommy so much. And even a date with your husband. I mean, that can be a reconnection time. That's, you're not being interrupted by mama, which as long as you hear that, you're going to turn around. I do it no matter where I am. I hear some child say mama, knowing that mine aren't with me, and you just turn and do it. So it's just good. That's just two things that I think. That women kind of don't find that till they get, okay, my children are grown and I can go off with the girls and, do
I
that
need
kind
to
of
take
thing.
your advice. That's definitely an area that I
Yeah.
need to work on, and I've heard a lot of women that has found that. The few women I know that has figured that out say how
Yeah.
important that is, and it wraps completely into our mental and physical.
Right.
As our health is one big circle of different dimensions, and this show is about women, and you make a wonderful point with that, and I think that's good advice. Is that might be what stems our motivation. We can't dig and find a motivation because
Right.
we're not separating ourselves from the day to day and getting rejuvenated enough to
Right.
even find that motivation. So I love
Right.
that.
Okay. Good
Well,
deal.
I am proud of you that you've let your adversities, being a cancer survivor, overcoming those and being the firecracker that you are
I'm
and living
sorry.
life to the fullest. And you never be sorry for that. And I love that you have always been an inspiration to me in the short time I got to know you, but I know you are continuously one to everybody else.
Thank
So
you. And I miss you terribly.
thank you.
You are missed
Well,
by a lot of us that did all those classes.
thank you.
Um,
Hopefully I'll
really
be able
are.
to find my way back in everybody's life
I know.
again.
I want you to. We need you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. This is another awesome episode to learn all the different aspects of all different women's life at different ages, coming from different adversities. I've heard some great ones. And so for us to just keep moving, find happiness, rejuvenate, and be a good inspiration in our foods that we're eating and making for our children. That wraps it all up today. So thank you for another insane reality moment of women's midlife health. Thank you, Miss Leanne. I love having you, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon.